Welcome to the Did You Know podcast, where the focus is on rare diseases, how modern medicine is treating these conditions, including the latest breakthroughs in research, and how people cope with their diagnosis and healing. Your host is Dana Morrow, known for her video series on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook called Did You Know Ataxia Facts? And now, your host, Dana Morrow.
Hi, No Ataxia Nation, and welcome to another podcast. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest, and I can't wait for you to listen in on our conversation. I'd like to welcome Jennifer Perry to the podcast. Hi, Jen.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm really glad that you're here and that we're able to spend some time together to talk about this kind of ataxia that you have.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, what kind of it? Let's start there. I want to start from the beginning and I want to hear a little bit about your story. So what type of ataxia do you have?
I have SCA3.
SCA3. All right. So a lot of people in our community know that as Spinocerebellar Ataxia.
Yes.
And it's one of the hereditary forms of ataxia, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So how did you first learn that you had this?
I'm third generation. Now diagnosed with it. I watched my grandfather have it, my mom have it. It's rampant in my family.
Okay.
So a lot of aunts, cousins, and a lot of relatives have it. So I knew the signs to look for.
Okay. And of those folks in your family that had it, when did you get diagnosed? How long ago?
2011.
2011. And were you older than they were, or were you younger than they were when they were diagnosed?
I was younger.
You were younger. Are you the youngest person in the family to be diagnosed with this kind of ataxia?
Yes, but I think I was also the first to go be tested at that age.
Okay.
I think it's an elephant in the room in my family. Nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody's shy. They suspect they might have it, but nobody goes to be tested.
Nobody goes. So are you the first person in your family that went to get tested?
Yes.
And how did you learn about the testing that was available?
My mom and her cousin used to go to Boston all the time, and I just took it from there.
Okay. All right. And so how was that process of getting tested? And first I want to congratulate you to have the courage to go be tested. How was the process of being tested?
It was quite simple. I just made the appointment and they did the blood work, and 6 weeks later I got the diagnosis.
Okay. All right. And what was that like for you?
That was devastating.
Say more. How was that?
I sat in my car and cried.
Yep. What was going through your mind at that point in time? What were you thinking? I know a lot of times what happens is we get a diagnosis or we get, we told something and we jump ahead and we kind of think of all the things that might happen.
I
Was
lived
that
my
going
life
on?
in an hour and a half. I lived it in my head. The devastating effects it has on families. And going through it. At the time, my husband had passed away, and I had a boyfriend. I guess we were serious at the time, but it was no real commitment. So, facing life alone or the disease alone.
Yeah, that was running through your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who's going to take care of me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you have a family history and people in your family have ataxia and you grew up seeing those symptoms.
Yes.
Did you have symptoms that prompted you to say, I think I have this too?
I was walking sideways.
You were walking sideways.
My gait was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long after you noticed that did you say, I really should go get tested and see?
It was probably a few weeks after somebody had made the comment, and just bothered me, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go see if I can do anything to slow it down.
Yeah.
So
Okay. And are you what are you doing? Tell me about some of the things that you're doing to slow it down.
I'm active. I stay active all the time. I volunteer for every study that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind being tested, or I'm trying to find a treatment or some type of cure for my children, my grandchildren.
Yeah.
Anything that helps.
I think that a lot of people that I know that have ataxia, regardless of the type, want to find something to prolong their time,
Yes.
like in terms of, I got to stay active because I know if I don't use it, I'm going to lose it.
That's my thought all the time.
And that's a very true thing. So you will see people, just trying to go on walks and trying to like ride bikes. And now they have the trikes, which make it very accessible to people to be able to keep active. What are some of the things you do to keep active?
I walk.
You walk.
I'm as crooked as I am. I try to walk.
Yeah.
I train the gym. They have a walking track.
Yeah.
So I go and I lie about how many times I go around the circle sometimes. But I do. I try not to let anything slow me down. Everything is a lot harder to do. And I think twice about doing certain things, but I still attempt that.
That's fantastic. I'm really happy to hear that because, you might just have to do things a little differently. It's not that you can't do them.
Yes, you learn to compensate for what you can't do.
Right.
Find a different way to do it.
Yeah, find a different way to do it. So I want to go back to something that you said. You said that you volunteer for any kind of trial or study or anything that's going on. Just because, why do you do that? Why do you feel driven to participate in all these different things?
Because there has to be a focus on it. Somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
Somebody has to volunteer. Somebody has to be out there searching to help these people.
Yeah. I love that you're saying that because I think it's very motivating and eye-opening for others out there who may be, hesitant to get involved in a study. There are these natural history studies that happen, and those are really key, especially if there's a history in a family, because they can document that history and see how it has progressed over time. And that's very valuable data. And people don't realize that they are helping somebody else by giving that data to a natural history study or a clinical trial.
I don't understand why more people with the disease don't volunteer. It blows my mind.
Well, maybe someone listening to the podcast today maybe that'll spark something in someone to say, you know what, I do want to help. I didn't think that I could help by participating in this.
I don't think that there's anyone out there that's going to say, try this and we're going to see if you die.
Right.
But if you try something and it slows it down or helps you, even for a short period of time, that short period of time is invaluable.
Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely is. And can you share like a little bit about your experience in doing some of these things? Meaning, like, so you did say that you were involved in a clinical trial. So what's been your experience in that?
Some are good. I feel good, positive about helping everybody. And, like I said, my cousins, and they always ask me how it's going. And it's like, why aren't you going also?
Right. I was going to ask you that. Have you had any success in like bringing a couple of family members along to some of these things?
I have. I have one cousin that goes with me now. Another was just tested. I finally talked her into it, and I said, why wait until your stages develop and before you're looking for something? Or are you waiting for me to find something to help you?
Right.
Like, go help.
Yeah. That could be, right? Maybe she is waiting. But also, I think everybody has a little bit of a difference. Even though you might all have the same genetic type of ataxia,
Yes.
there might be something slightly different. And people can learn from that. Or there might be a different, method to help with some of the symptoms somebody else has that maybe you don't have.
Right. My oldest cousin, her and I compare symptoms all the time.
Yeah.
And that's how, like, she was, as reference, she was saying that she's better in the afternoons. Like, she's more coordinated and she has an easier time in the afternoon as opposed to the mornings. And I'm the opposite. I'm better in the morning, and as I get more and more tired, it's like I don't want to do anything anymore.
Yeah.
It's like 2:00 in the afternoon. No.
Yeah. So you basically schedule your day according to the clock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know a lot of people with ataxia have to do that because of their energy levels. And you're right. Some have more energy in the morning and others have more energy at night.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to also ask you, talk to me a little bit about your day to day. How has ataxia affected you?
It affects everything I do. I mean, right down to vacuuming. Or sweeping the floor. Everything's a 2-step or 3-step, and the cord with the vacuum, it touches my feet, I tend to fall over. My laundry is downstairs, so somebody has to carry my laundry down, carry it up. It's certain things, everything's affected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even cooking and.
Yeah. Say more about that. Because I know coordination is a really big piece, right?
Yes.
So how is it that it affects your cooking? How are you with knives and stuff?
So far, I'm okay. You compensate.
Yeah.
You learn to take over where you can't handle certain things. Or if I find something I can't do, or it's too dangerous to do, such as a knife, and I'll have one of the family members do it. But
Yeah.
I haven't got to that point yet.
Yeah, that's good. How about throw rugs? How are you with throw rugs?
I don't do throw rugs. I don't. Like I say, nothing can touch my feet.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting because my husband has ataxia. And so over the years, we've had to make certain adjustments. And as someone who doesn't have ataxia, I've learned things about myself that I didn't realize that I did. Like I keep cabinet doors open.
mm-hmm.
That's a no-no. I have throw rugs all over the place. That's a no-no.
Right.
So it's really interesting to learn that as somebody without ataxia, to be considerate of, those that have ataxia.
It's the little things.
It's the little things.
It really is.
And I want to actually expand on that a little bit. So when you are out in public with other people, what's most challenging for you? Like when you're interacting with, say you go to a restaurant and you're having dinner and there are other people there that don't know that you have ataxia. What are some of the challenges with that?
It's always coordination, walking. It could be even just sitting in a chair. I lose my balance. I don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It just happens. And everybody's just as surprised as I am.
Do people ever say, oh, that lady's had way too much to drink?
Yes. Well, they don't actually say it. You can see it in their face. Like, oh, are you okay? Like, you've been having. There was a time I was playing cards and I had to walk down a ramp. and I literally walked right into a dinner table. I couldn't stop. And people at the table that I kind of walked into looked at me like, oh, she's loaded. Should she be driving? And I was drinking water. You know, like I don't drink alcohol because of the effects, but yeah.
Yeah, that happens to a lot. That I hear that constantly, that people are always being accused of having a little bit too much to drink, and that's
Yes.
unfortunate. So I want to ask you, what would you want people to know about ataxia? If you had the ability to educate somebody about this ataxia, this SCA, what would you want them to know?
Don't believe what you see. It's not necessarily true. I mean, it's coordination thing. It's nobody's fault.
Right.
And we do the best we can. Trying to walk and concentrate on walking. Be understanding.
Yeah. Understanding, compassionate.
Yes.
How are you with questions? Like if people ask you, would you want people to ask you questions about why you're having difficulty walking? Or would you want them to ask you questions about what's going on? Or would you prefer no?
Yes, I think I would. Because of the fact that everybody assumes automatically that you're intoxicated all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I went through an airport recently and I was asked twice on the same journey if I was okay. It was that bad, but I haven't been seated for a long time, and to get up and stop moving is not necessarily easy for somebody to do.
Yeah, so it's not easy for a lot of people to do. And a lot of times what's been helpful, at least what I've heard from people, is they stand up and they move their legs a little bit at first to get going, and then they start.
Yeah, I stand and then wait a second and I make sure everything's going to work.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I don't know.
Right.
It's like, I'm just going to wait for my stuff to work and then I'll be on my way.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works and sometimes not so much.
Yeah. I think, earlier you said about being involved in the clinical trials and things and all the studies. And what I got from that is that it's an important thing for you, feel it's important for you to do because you may be helping somebody with this.
Yes. It's very important. I have generations going on that I don't want them to suffer. I used to watch my grandfather try to go to the bathroom and crawl up on the stairs on his hands and knees, and I don't want that. Yeah, my kids or my grandkids.
Yeah.
I want to find something that they can take or do to walk up the stairs properly, not on the hands and knees.
Yeah. And I think that that's an important fact to get across today in our conversation, is that we do need more people with ataxia to be involved in these things so that we can find cures and things that might work to help.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Jen. So here's a question for you. How do you explain to folks what ataxia is?
I tell them it's a combination of ALS, Parkinson's, and MS. It's a nasty disease that it robs you of your coordination, your ability to walk, sometimes your sight, your ability to swallow.
Yeah.
Eat. I used to go feed my mom every day. Robs you of everything, so it's a coordination thing.
With ataxia, everybody's different, right? So
Right.
that's the other thing that we want to get across, is that everybody is different. Their progression is different. How they're impacted is different. But going back to the root, it really does impact somebody's balance and coordination and all of those things that you described, swallowing, making it more difficult to eat.
Even speak some words with L's I cannot say.
Yeah. And, sometimes your speech is a little slurred and, you're trying your best, but this is all part of the
Right.
ataxia.
Yes.
Yeah. Jen, I know you were really apprehensive about coming here today and doing this podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. What was going on in your mind when I asked you, invited you to come and do this podcast?
Well, I was with my grandson, and he's 11 years old, and he was attempting to do something that he was scared of doing. And he looked at his mom, and he said, "F it." And she was flabbergasted, and she said, "You can't say that. I like your attitude, but you can't say that." And he went and he did it, and he conquered it. And so I live by his motto now, and I just say "F it."
That's awesome. So you said, F it, I'm going to the Did You Know podcast and we're going to do this thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. I know this isn't the only thing that you're doing. I know that there are other things that you're working on. So do you want to speak a little bit about those?
I'm working with a company, and we're going to talk about the disease. I'll be talking to other people to help educate them.
No, but you know what? That's really brave of you to say, I want to go talk publicly about this and get the word out about this.
I'm very nervous about doing all of it, but I got to the point where it's F it. I'm going with my grandson tomorrow.
That is fantastic. And you know what? I think it's not only is it brave, but it's a broader, great thing to do from the perspective of you are going to be helping not only yourself, but every other person that has ataxia.
I feel very passionately about helping people with the disease, and I really do. And I think that's part of my attitude of getting over my fears to help people.
Yeah.
Help my kids, my grandkids, anybody else that needs it.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And you know what? I think if you keep that in your sights, you'll be able to do it without being nervous. I really do.
I hope so.
I think you will. And I wish you all the best with that. It's really a fantastic thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, Jen, I really want to thank you for spending time with me today.
Thank you.
In educating us and our, the ataxia community about SCA, Spinocerebellar Ataxia. It's one of the most prevalent hereditary types of ataxia. And don't quote me, but I think there's about 54 different kinds now of SCA.
Yes.
So it's really important.
It really is. Everybody deserves the fighting chance.
Yeah. Yep.
More people need to be tested.
Well, I want to thank you it's for your candor and for your time with this conversation. I hope that it really helps somebody in our listening audience.
I hope so also.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.